Broadcasting from Hollywood, California. It's Grant's Rants, Hollywood Talk.
A lot of fighting. Brandi Glanville allegedly beats up a DJ at a Halloween party. New York Housewives Dorinda and Ramona argue at a charity ball. And we question, is Mario back in the picture? Leah Remini takes on Jahova Witnesses, and Troy Turner joins the Rants to talk about going head-to-head with Shannon Beador and more. Let the ranting begin. I am joined by Troy Turner, a co-founder of TasteOfReality.com and the host of Taste of Reality podcast. Welcome to the Rants.
Hi, Grant. I knew that our worlds would finally collide one day, and here we are.
This is why, before the show, I was saying I was excited because it's like about time, and, you know, it's like we talk a lot about the same things. We both have Bravo-centric kind of podcasts. Like, I try to keep it a little general, but it's always slanted towards the Real Housewives.
Yeah, totally. I knew that I would end up here, and you're coming on my show soon, I hope. So, yeah, let's do this. I'm down to rant.
Yes, perfect. Well, you're in the right place.
All right.
It's a little hot in here, but, you know, we're going to get into it. Let's go.
Let's do it.
George Clooney, he just had a Halloween party for Casamigos or whatever. His name is attached to it. And I doubt he's like putting up streamers in a house or a restaurant, but whatever. He was attached to it. And this guy named Kobe Randolph, who's known as DJ K Love. Now, if anyone listening knows who this is, let me know. Are you familiar with who this is?
With DJ K Love?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with DJ K Love, and I'm the wrong person to ask because I don't even listen to the radio. So,
well, yeah, no, I don't listen to Top 40. Forget it. So, but when it comes to this guy, he posted a video. I hate to credit TMZ. Anyone that listens to know, like, but he had a video up, and he had a big ego. I don't know what his deal is, but he was like, I was like, with all the A-listers, and then the housewife chick, Brandi Glanville. What was it? Uppercutting? What is an uppercut?
I think it's a boxing move.
Like you come like from underneath?
Yeah. It's like an upward swipe, I guess.
Well,
which is bizarre, right? Because it's his lower lip that was damaged. I think he's confused about the moves as much as we are.
Not only that, but he's got this video. He's trying to act all tough that he's this big star at this party. But yeah, he's talking about these two chicks that beat him up, and he's like all like, no, it's because I'm black and all this stuff. And
on that note, it seems like he's a little confused about why he was jumped, because he was saying, quote unquote, it was because he was the black James Bond. But, dude, like, nobody's beating you up because you're the black James Bond, or you're dressed up as the black James Bond. So I'm still confused about what's really going on.
He made it seem, the whole thing, I agree, he made the whole thing sound like he was just, like, in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, that doesn't just happen. Like, I've lived in LA for 10 years. Like, I haven't witnessed just someone just select beating someone up at an A-list party, or I haven't really even been to them, but you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't really happen. Like, this guy's so full of crap.
Well, I think he hit the nail on the head whenever he said he was at the wrong place, period, because there were like a lot of A-list names attached to this party. Cindy Crawford, George Clooney, Harry Styles, Dave Grohl, just a handful of guests.
Puffy
like
was
that,
there,
right? Yeah. And what I want to know, and this is what's more shocking than Brandi Glanville actually getting into an altercation physically with somebody, is how do these people end up at a party like that?
She had to be someone's plus one, Brandi.
Yeah, I hear that the girl that she was with, who attacked this guy with, is his ex. I think that's the connection. Is that
that's what I got too. Yeah. So she dated this DJ K Love. Brandi was there with her. I don't know if she's a plus one or one or the other, but they never released this girl's name, the ex-girlfriend's name.
I couldn't figure it out either.
Yeah. So I don't know who brought who, but Brandi, was looking kind of sad in that costume.
What was the costume? I was sitting there trying to figure out what she was dressed up as, and I was like, she's just wearing lingerie, right? Yeah. What is it?
And there were some really unflattering photos from behind. And yes, she was in those fishnets that were like ripped. She looked like she went through a tough night.
But what would you know what the costume was? Because I never nailed it.
Some type of rabbit, I think, or maybe like a cat.
Okay, clever.
Yeah.
That's original.
I mean, when they all come, maybe a mouse, they're all, if you think about it, they're all kind of the same. They stick ears on top and they put their ass out in the back.
But you're right. She didn't look good.
No.
She looked like a mess, right?
She looks like a real mess.
At some point, skinny just doesn't cut it. Like, you've got to be healthy on top of it.
Yeah.
You know?
The eye makeup. I mean, granted, all right, this is the end of a long night. She probably started drinking at 2 p.m.
I don't know.
Like,
That photo was broad daylight. It didn't look like
I saw one at night. I saw one at night.
I saw the like
pre.
Yeah, during where it was like sundown. She was not looking good in that photo either.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, so just bad all around. Yeah.
Here's what I love the most about the entire thing is he ends the video with, "Is this the America that we've come to?" Yes, it is.
What a statement. What a statement. Look, what is he trying to get from this?
I don't know. It was
15
political.
minutes.
It was emotional.
No arrests were made, but like you mentioned, there were a bunch of other people in attendance. Nikki was there dressed as Paris Hilton in the early 2000s, which I thought was clever. And of course, Paris Hilton was there, so I'm happy about that.
That's amazing.
But yeah, no, I don't know how I feel about this. Now, no one should be like, I don't condone violence, but the whole thing is so stupid. Like, they made it seem like it was this huge brawl, and it was just this grown man getting beat up by an ex-Real Housewife. I love that Brandi's still being relevant.
Yeah, I would still love to be a fly on the wall. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. I'd still want to see it.
Yeah. We're trying to give you a little Halloween news on the rants. So, it's tough to find topics for this show because I don't want it to be all Real Housewives. I know there are people listening that don't track the shows as closely as you and I. And, I want to really, it's Hollywood talk. So I want to give a good, well-rounded kind of view.
It's hard to avoid whenever reality TV is like 75% of the market now.
Yeah.
So you're just going to it's going to end up being reality TV related.
If you look at usweekly.com, even if you look at something like E, there's Housewives scattered throughout their top stories. You've got the Giudice stuff happening. They've got the OC stuff happening over here.
It doesn't even have to be like the juicy tabloid magazines. If you look at Architectural Digest right now, it's Heather Dubrow. It's Dubrow Chateau. I think it's even on the cover.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? I've been watching her videos of the house that she's put on YouTube, which is so overproduced, but I enjoy them nonetheless. But I might have to look at that magazine.
Feel bad about yourself because that's all it does for me.
I love interior. I love interior design, so I'm interested. But I don't know if I need her on the show. Anyway, Real Housewives of New York. Wow. Well, a couple things happening. There's a page 6 article here, and they said that spies saw Ramona and Dorinda arguing over seating arrangements at Denise Rich's Casa Noble tequila-sponsored Angel Ball. So another tequila story going wrong.
And not to be confused with Denise Richards. This
right.
is Denise Riches.
Whoever that is. Whoever that. Who is this? I should have Googled
It's the
her.
Walmart version of Denise Richards.
Yeah, the knockoff version. For sure.
But this is exactly why Real Housewives of New York is the best. It's the opposite of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, where the gossip is always more interesting than the actual footage. You know that this gossip pales in comparison to what we'll actually see on the show.
Oh, I can see the whole scene playing out just in reading this 3-paragraph article.
I know. Can't you just see Ramona going, "It's not my party," and Dorinda throwing up gang signs at the end?
And of course, Ramona's blaming everybody, the event staff, the organizers, and all this stuff. And we'll get into it because I have a quote I want to read off of page 6. So, real hard-hitting journalism over here. But what else can we say? Ramona requested the change of seats. Allegedly, cameras were there, so we'll see it, as you said. And now Jill made an appearance. Former Real Housewife of New York, Jill Zarin, was there.
Surprise.
Troy, you've talked about it on your show, how you've kind of been in mourning since New York ended.
Yeah.
And it's been hard to be as invested in a show since. And I feel you totally. And I was a little late to the New York game, and I thought OC was it. But now, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the lack of Real Housewives of New York in my life. And I even kind of fell off with Atlanta. And I just, I want that show needs to be year round.
I call it housewives fatigue.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you supposed to do after you come off of New York and such an epic season? And then you watch Orange County now. I like Dallas more than Orange County. I never thought I would say that. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to reinvest my time in other shows like 90 Day Fiancé.
Same.
Kind of gets me out of my Bravo bubble.
Yeah, and I had Aaron Martin on the show last week. If you're interested in hearing a little bit about this season and perhaps why you should get into it and get on the train, give it a listen.
I wasn't sure, actually, speaking of Aaron Martin, I wasn't sure that I wanted to go and invest time in this new season of 90 Day Fiancé because I just watched before the 90 days. But after hearing Aaron on your episode, I was like, okay, I'm sucked in already.
Yeah, I know. I actually was in and then I was out and now I'm back in. But you know what the problem with me is, and I realized this once I reinvested, I have this TLC Go app, but they won't let me log in through a Verizon login to watch it. So I have to find the show other ways, which is really inconvenient.
Why can't you do that?
It just is blocked. It's like a Verizon deal, like a distribution
Dude,
deal.
I'm going to hook you up with my credentials before I leave here. You can use it.
Oh, thanks. Because I'm like, what is this? And it gives you like this long thing and like why it won't work. I'm like, I don't need to be reading like paragraphs. Like just
I use my friends actually, and I'm just going to share it with everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
It's all yours.
I mean, I need to watch the show, and that's the only way that I'll watch it is if it's convenient. Because if I have to go seeking it out, like streaming it in different places, like I'll never be able to keep up with it. It's such a commitment as it is. Like I need that to be on. I iron. I do a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
Okay, so if I really commit to a show, I go and I buy the damn season on iTunes.
Really?
I will fork over. Yeah, I will do some extra work on the side so that I can pay for
I've never
not
done
having
that.
to watch commercials, and then I can fast forward if I want to, if I'm falling
Just buzz
asleep.
through.
You know? Yeah. Highly recommend.
Should do that.
If you got the money.
What is it, like 15 or 30 bucks?
It's like 15 bucks. What is that?
I can manage that. Yes. So this page 6 quote that they talk about the whole seating arrangement, this charity angel ball or whatever. It says that Medley couldn't be reached for comments. This is a quote from page 6. But Singer said about the brouhaha, I'm going to try to read it as she would read it, but I can't do her any justice. She said, quote, I was very happy to support the angel ball, and I thought Dorinda was sitting with me. But somehow, they have so many people going. She was upset. I had no control of it, and I said I was sorry. We didn't buy a table. We bought individual tickets. They didn't buy it together. We're great now. We're fine. Of course, everything is fine. She had nothing to do with it.
Wow, just wow, Ramona.
It's like this is how you know it's accurate because
that
it's like going nowhere. It's like trying to like trace
deflecting.
Chutes and ladders like all over the place. New paragraph. Meanwhile, we hear Singer was spotted filming on the Upper East Side with ex-husband Mario on Tuesday. When we asked her about that, she hung up. Rarely do I read from these, but I think that was just so well said. I mean, and the other one was a quote.
And that's how they ended the article. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm not surprised. I love how these women have such a problem with page 6, but the most Real Housewives articles on page 6 are all New York.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Well, with Sonia, like, speaking to them every other day, you know?
Oh, I love it.
What do you think about this allegation that her and Mario might be getting back together?
I was not surprised. It immediately made me think of Nene and Greg, and they kind of found their way back to one another.
But Greg didn't cheat.
Oh, not to the level that this guy, like, ruined her image and everything. I'm surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked if they got back together.
You wouldn't?
No.
Okay, I disagree. At first, I got a little emotional about the whole thing. Who doesn't want to see, like, a rejoining, right?
Right.
Like, we like seeing that on TV. But then I started thinking about it, and I think he's enjoying his freedom. But more importantly, I think she is really enjoying her freedom. Like, okay, I feel like there are two types of people after a breakup. There are those people who cry, they eat a pint of ice cream on the sofa, they resolve themselves to wearing sweats and flip-flops out of the house, okay? Mm-hmm. And then there are other people who hit the gym, they start looking good, feeling good, dating, and I think Ramona's one of those people.
I think that she's kind of sad, and I think that she's looking for something else or to go back to what was stable. I think that sticks with her. This is just my perception. Huh. So I wouldn't be surprised if she went in that direction again, just because that was like a stable era that was, I mean, it ended terribly. I wouldn't do it, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
I missed the part where I saw her being sad, because every time that I would see her on camera or in interviews, she was like glowing, you know, and Watch What Happens Live. She's like, glowing. I don't know. I just didn't get
She
I didn't
looks
get the
great.
sad part.
I don't know. I get the feeling that she would go back if she had the opportunity. I feel like they've had enough time now to get like the emotions out of it and then be like, okay, we had our fun. And I don't know. That's kind of my perception. I don't know.
Well, if they aren't talking, okay, so this entire thing came up, right? Because another spy, somebody by the name of Zach, I don't know.
Yeah.
Zach's probably never invited to another party, saw them chatting and they overheard something specific. Do you have the quote about what Mario said?
Mario said something about we don't think there'll be a need for a vow renewal or something. The word vow renewal came up.
As he was like standing side by side with Ramona.
Yes.
Right.
And then now other like sources close to them said that they're both like too free and happy to be bothered to get back together and that they need to maintain a positive relationship for their daughter or whatever.
He's an adult now.
Yeah. But why would Mario, like, it's one thing to go to a party and all that, but to go to a party that's being filmed says a lot.
Well, I don't know. A source has said they are not getting back together. I don't believe they're getting back together. We have differing opinions on that. I don't believe they're getting back together, but it leaves me wondering who they are referring to. And I was trying to figure it out, and I couldn't. I thought maybe they were referencing something with Luann, but that doesn't make sense. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out.
I don't know.
Okay, so we were just talking about Orange County, right? I'm just going to rant. I'm going to rant for a
Go
second.
for it.
I'm allowed to do this on this podcast, right? So, okay, Mario's a huge cheater, right? And yet we did not have to listen to Ramona whine and cry about it for an entire season.
I know where you're
going.
going.
It was a brief, like it was a blip in the Housewives history. But all season of Orange County, for 2 seasons now, we've had to listen to Shannon whine and cry about it nonstop. And I'm sick of it.
Amen.
I'm not sympathizing with Shannon anymore.
I don't think a lot of people are sympathizing with Shannon anymore, which I can understand. I'm still trying to figure her out. Like, I'm at the point with Housewives, specifically her, where my opinion is changing from someone who I watched and really enjoyed. And, you know, it takes like that, a couple episodes where you're like, wait a minute, I don't really care for this person. Your perception changes after you feel like you've known someone for 3 to 4 years. And that's where I am with her, honestly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people share that sentiment.
Yeah. Weird. You know what I'm so excited about, though? Like, honestly, like, everyone who listens to this knows I live for Scientology in all the right ways, people. I'm getting judgments. Like, I know, I hear you. I live for the fact that it is still a thing. And it's so obvious that it's a mess. And I love that Leah Remini is going out there and doing all this work. And she's so fearless. She's got like the 8-inch nails and, you know, she's meeting with everybody. She's really made this like her crusade. And I love her. She's a badass. And I think that her show, Leah Remini, Scientology and the Aftermath, is one of the best produced reality shows, and I encourage everyone to look at it. And I can't wait because it's coming back on November 27th for a full 3rd season on A&E. But beforehand, on the 13th of November, there's going to be a 2-hour preseason special. Long title, Leah Remini, Scientology and the Aftermath, Jehovah's Witnesses. Are you going to be watching? Will you be watching?
I am going to watch. I am not certain that it's going to hold my interest as much as the Scientology specials did.
I agree.
But I do think that for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, this is going to be like the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Like they're freaking out over this. I hear that the elders are having like secret meetings about it. Yeah.
What are they going to meet about? Like, the show is being produced by a production company. It's on a network. Like, there's nothing you can meet about. Like, it's happening. Like, the train is out of the station. Like,
yeah. Well, I think one of the interesting things about the Scientology series is that Scientologists fight back. Like, that's their MO, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of curious if Jehovah's Witnesses will, because they're a little more soft. It'll be interesting to see what their response is like.
It's weird because my perception growing up was that they were not a cult, that it was just another religious faction, another group. But this show's really going to expose them, and I think it's probably one of the first of its kind. Now, I haven't seeked out other series exposing Jehovah's Witness, but it sounds like this is the most mainstream.
I think she's bringing on some YouTuber. I think there's like a famous YouTuber who has been calling them out for years, mm-hmm. And she's going to be bringing him on the show, and they're going to talk in depth about it. So we'll learn a lot from somebody who's really been inside. She herself wasn't personally experienced with them.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what it's like, from the insider's perspective.
I'll be watching because I want to learn a little bit about it, and I'm interested, especially to get Leah's take. She has such real, genuine, honest reactions to things, and I think this will be interesting. The title again is a little long. Like I don't know, maybe for DVRs. I don't know why they have to keep the word Scientology in it because it doesn't have anything to do with it. That's a little confusing.
It's a little redundant.
Yeah.
Did you know anything about Jehovah's Witnesses before this show?
No.
Not really, right? Like, I knew they were the people who I would, like, get naked for whenever they were coming to my door that they never came back. Other than that, not a whole lot. So I started looking up, like, random facts about Jehovah's Witnesses, and I wrote down a few. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah, no, right. I want to know.
Okay, so this is just interesting. They're so strict, they do not even acknowledge the cross. It's like a pagan symbol to them. It's that severe. I had no idea. Members of the clergy, so this is a little different than Scientology. Their members are not paid. It's all volunteer work. So it kind of leaves you wondering, like, is there... Usually with religion, you're like, there's money to be made here, right?
Right.
Not for these guys. There's, like, something else at work. So that's kind of weird.
It's a unique angle for a cult, yes.
Right. So, okay, males and females cannot be alone in the same room unless they're married or related. Period. They believe that women are lesser beings and that their brains are 10% smaller than males.
They believe that, but it's not based on any type of fact. But okay.
Well, none of it is. I mean, none of it is.
I know. But it's just, isn't it crazy the way you can convince humans of things just by, like,
writing a magazine
and word of mouth?
The whole thing came about from this guy, Charles Taze something, in 1896. He put out a magazine and started talking about the apocalypse, and people got scared, and they started following him. And that's, like, kind of where it spiraled from. Anyway.
Isn't it frightening how if you say it, people think it's true? And we see this at every level up to Fox News and the White House and all this stuff. Isn't it crazy that people don't think for themselves?
I mean, this is the situation that we're in. This is why
it.
This is why DJ K-Love is right whenever he says, is this what America has come to?
And that brings it full circle. DJ K-Love, you were ahead of your time.
Grant, one last fun fact. Oral and anal sex are banned for married couples. For married couples.
Not
boring.
Good. Yeah, so
what
it's
do you
like,
do at that point? You just
it's
just intercourse.
If that happened, why? Like, I would like to explain to me. Like, I know you don't know the answer, but like, why? What is that going to do that would be that bad? Like, what these rules, these arbitrary rules? Like, what is that even based in?
Where does it come from? Like, at what point did they decide a blowjob is not okay? We're not okay with that, even if you're married.
Right. And like somebody wrote that up and brought attention to it too, which is even more weird. Yeah. Like they went out of their way to like call that out. Another thing that I just thinking of as you read this list, I was going through my mind. I remember Sherry Shepherd said on The View, in my least favorite of all time show, not the brightest either, Sherry, she grew up Jehovah's Witness and they couldn't celebrate birthdays. And she blames that religion for a lot of her ignorance on the world and the world being flat and all these things. So I wonder, is that an excuse or are they really like that sheltered and out of the grand scope of the world? This is something I'm going to learn watching this series.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting. I can kind of sympathize with somebody like that. I'm from the South. I grew up in like a very conservative Southern Baptist community. And there were things that I didn't know going into the world as an adult because of being raised in something like that. Thank God I got out. I mean, it's nothing in comparison to being raised Jehovah's Witness or in like Aaron Martin's Kobu cult or something like that. But, I can kind of sympathize with somebody like that.
Yeah. I can't wait for the real Scientology show to come back. I love it, and I'll be talking about it on this show. I hope that she talks about this new Scientology TV network. Have you watched this? Have you looked at it?
Not surprised. Have you seen the studios that are just down the street?
They're gorgeous. Yeah. I will say, Scientology buildings, they know what they're doing to keep them up. Impressive. They restore them. They look beautiful. They look welcoming. And I'm sure they have the best of technology. I mean, I wish. But as far as this network goes, have you ever watched any part of it?
No, I didn't know that it existed.
It's on DirecTV. And it's on a live YouTube stream. So I watch the YouTube stream, and I'm always curious to know what's on there. And basically, it's like one giant, well-produced infomercial. There are no commercials or ads. It's just these, like, siloed, like these, like, we're going to talk for 90 minutes about, like the dangers of psychiatry, and then we're going to go for 30 minutes like inside Scientology and how they print their books and that process and how popular the pamphlets are around the world, and then they go back to psychiatry. Like, it's very like their own
Grant,
world.
you've got to be careful watching that stuff. I feel like they might have some like subliminal messaging in there that could like get in your head where they're like, Grant, your eyes are getting very heavy. That's how they get you.
They are like really well made, some of these things, but they're also very like 90s infomercially. And I'm wondering, like, the same people who have probably produced all their videos of promotional material are now doing these, because there's like a certain like glossy like image they have around everything, and they have a lot of like talking
porn.
heads.
It feels like that somebody went from porn to Scientology production. Right? That's
exactly what it feels like to me. Yeah. And they have all these specialists, and I Googled some of the names, and they're all Scientologists, and they're all like highly educated doctors, and maybe they really are. I'm not alleging that they aren't, but I mean, that religion must have some of the most professional, diverse people that I've ever seen on a TV network as part of their congregation or whatever they call themselves, because they have a really well-rounded group of doctors. And even if you're a Scientologist, you already know and believe all that, so it's quite literally preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
So it's almost like having on, like, when you go to like the Marriott and they have like the Marriott channel. Like, I feel like if you go to a Scientology building, the Scientology network will just be on the TV. That's it.
Yeah, totally. One thing I will say about Leah Remini is that she's still asking questions about Scientology. So she's not only moved on to Jehovah's Witness, but she's still wondering, she's still putting those questions out there. Where is Shelley? Where is the founder's wife, or not the founder, but the leader's wife? What's happening on Sea Org? She's still bringing up some of these abuses that are going on. So I don't think that we've heard the last about it.
Yeah, I hope not. And I'm so glad it got picked up, because at the end of her run in season 2, Scientology kept saying like record low numbers, like viewers turning out in droves to, or tuning out in droves to not believe Leah, and like she's making money and writing scripts and all this stuff. And so they were really trying to tarnish the show. And I was like, oh, it's so stupid. So I'm glad that it's still going, and it's a kind of a good little FU to the network over at Scientology or whoever they are, and be like, yep, it's good enough to get a 3rd season, and that's not easy to do. So when we return, we're going to be talking more with Troy. We're going to be looking at 20 hilarious Real Housewives costume ideas. So stick around for that if you haven't picked out your costume, or you just want to play along and see what plus what equals who. And you'll know what I mean when we come back. That and more with Troy Turner in a moment. Grant's Rants Hollywood Talk Podcast. This portion provided by RecList.com. Make deciding what to watch easy on yourself. Use RecList to discover under-the-radar movies and TV shows. Share and discuss recommendations with friends, and you can start your own watch list right there on the website, all in one place. And this is available on an app for Android and iPhone, but also on desktop. So you can create a free account over there and go through and start making your list. I did, since they've started promoting on Grant's Rants. I've been an active user, and I have to say this website has everything, and I have searched, and I've tried to stump them. Remember A Flavor of Love Girls Charm School? I searched for that, it was there, and I added it to my list. They really do have everything. And what's helpful is they even have icons under a lot of their shows that say exactly where you can find that TV show or movie. You click out, you open Netflix, and there it is. So someone was thinking when they created this website. They can also look at returning series, cast, and my favorite is episode counts. How many times do I say, how many episodes is this season of Real Housewives of blank? Now I know with RecList. Head on over to reclist.com/GrantsRants. Make TV viewing easy for you and support the podcast.
You're listening to Grant's Rants. Subscribe and spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Listen anytime on all major podcasting platforms. And now, back to the show.
And we're back ranting with Troy Turner from Taste of Reality podcast and also tasteofreality.com, where he wrote an article that we're going to get into right now all about hilarious Real Housewife costume ideas. There are 20 of them, and I can only imagine how long it took you to come up with this list. It's fun, though. Like, it's a fun read. Check it out.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorites. I'm so glad that you pulled this one out. Good timing. Halloween's right around the corner. Okay, so this is one that we keep refreshing every single year. We just keep adding more examples of awesome Housewives costume ideas. All right, so I figured I'll just pull out a few elements of each costume, and I will see if you can guess who we're talking about.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, and listeners, you can do the same. Now, I read this list semi-recently, so I may be a little bit quicker, but I'll let it play out a little bit.
How good your memory is.
Yeah.
All right. Red Solo Cup plus pack of cigs plus an oversized blonde wig. Who could it be?
Who do you think, kids? I think it's going to be Kim Zolciak.
Boom, Kim Zolciak. All right. This is a little harder.
Okay.
Stripper pole, 19 engagement rings, and an ex-mobster bodyguard.
Has to be Danielle Staub.
Ding, ding, ding.
19? I wonder what someone could do with that.
Now.
Yeah, it's 20. Like, I'm wondering, like, if you were to create this into a costume, I guess you have to put them around your neck.
No, you're going to just dazzle your...
Just fill up all 10
fingers. That's right, 2 to each finger. Okay.
Yeah.
next one. This is like a 2-for-1. All right. Fishnet cover-up, fake booty pads, and a floppy white hat.
That could be Portia, or it could be Phaedra.
Okay, you really are good at this. You looked at this like really recently. Okay,
I come prepared, Troy.
This is my favorite one. This is what I'm going to be this year. Bald head, a rolling IV, and fake cancer documents.
This is my favorite one. I have it on my list right here. Brooks. It has to be Brooks.
100%.
I love it.
And we've lovingly named it Benign Brooks Ayers.
I love it. And I love that the image that accompanies this for the fake medical records is almost like ripped out of like a child's notepad, the written in crayon, like, or marker.
Yes.
The image you have on the website, super legit. The only thing it needs to say is Newport Imaging.
No, 100%. Okay. Last one. And there are like 20 on this list, maybe more. We're always
it's still
adding
worth
to it.
a look, though. Go through it because it's creative.
Yeah, I mean, and these are ones you could just get last minute too if you really are looking for a costume. And I'm going to tell you why that's a great idea in just a sec. But here's the last one:
I'm here for it.
vape pen, fiery red wig, and a crystal ball.
What's her name? Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Alison Dubois.
Yes. Okay, from the dinner party from hell, of course. And bonus points if you walk around telling people he will never emotionally fulfill you. Okay, but here's why Housewives costumes are a great idea, especially these like more subtle ones like Alison Dubois or Brooks Ayers, is because you go to a party where you don't know anyone, and anyone who identifies you without you having to say so is like instantaneously your next best friend.
Yes,
right?
like your kind of people.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you can identify who you can chat with.
Exactly.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, so go and check that out. Of course, on tasteofreality.com, there are a ton of other fun listicles like this and gossip articles and stuff like that.
That's what I like. I like fun. I like to be able to scroll through easy stuff and creative too. Now, to put a list like this together, how long does that take?
I mean, to actually come up with the ideas is like fun, so it's like doesn't feel like work, you know. So probably 10 minutes, you know. But then actually building the article, that's where like the real work comes in.
Yeah, and you got a lot of stuff on that website. You're working all the time.
All the time.
There's a lot of stuff, and I like that. And this is how I discovered your website. Was in the past I was looking for a location. I think it was something on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I was like, I know that, but where is it? And SEO and Google brought me to your site.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, that makes me happy because we've invested so much money in SEO that we really need to have them come up in Google search results. So that makes me really happy. But yeah, it's a hub for all things reality TV, not just locations. You know, we started out with locations. Myself and a former coworker who hated our job at this advertising agency put our heads together and put together this enormous database of locations that have been featured on reality shows, going all the way back to a little show that I love called Laguna Beach, and The Hills, The Simple Life, Kardashians, Love and Hip Hop, Housewives, you name it. We track all of those locations so that you can follow in the footsteps if you'd like. And then since then, we've also been documenting fashion, drawing up like gift ideas based on Housewives, gossip, you name it. It's just a hub for all things reality TV.
When it comes to the locations, when you watch these shows, are you watching them with a notepad and jotting down like, okay, Tamara's walking into a place called like Madeira or whatever, and then like, how do you track all these down?
Yeah, so for the longest time, whenever we were actually building the database, we were sitting in front of the TV, watching these episodes and just kind of squinting and looking for signage, or sometimes they'll occasionally call out the name of that business or that location. And so we would sit there and painstakingly write what the location was. And what's interesting about Taste of Reality is that it will tell you not only what business was featured on what show in what season, but will also tell you exactly what happened there. And we'll pull like interesting quotes from that scene. And we'll also give you a link where you can go back and watch that episode if you so choose.
That's a real database.
It's a lot of work. These days, running the podcast, and I manage a team of like 8 writers that are working for us and doing a ton of creative direction. So now I actually have outsourced getting those locations. So I can reinvest my time in actually watching the shows and just enjoying them.
That's a great place to be. Yeah. And, you're expanding your brand. It's exciting. I mean, you're really growing with that. And that's the goal, right?
100%. And we're also going to be opening up a store in the very near future where you guys can get t-shirts, gifts, cards, all sorts of stuff that is reality TV related. We'll be putting a lot of memorable scenes on a bunch of different formats and mediums, and so you can score gear, swag.
Nice. So you're thinking like quotes, or what are you thinking?
I like the idea of something more visual. So like pulling these iconic moments with Bethany with her legs spread on the couch, and maybe including the quote of, mention it all, but,
perfect.
Not necessarily. I think we're totally open-minded. We're working with an artist, right now who, will hopefully deliver some really good stuff.
Wow. Yeah. You said recently in an episode of your podcast, I think it was the most recent episode, that you left your job and now you're concentrating on this.
Yeah.
So what's that been like?
Well, so I left my full-time job. I was freelance for a long time. I've been a writer for 10 years, and not a writer in the sense of like writing scripts or movie stuff. I'm not in entertainment whatsoever, actually. I've worked in advertising for like 10 years, maybe 12 years, writing ad copy for websites, commercial treatments, all sorts of stuff. So I decided randomly that I would try going back to an office. I coincidentally had been watching reruns of The Office, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds like fun!"
I'm currently rewatching that whole series back as well.
It wasn't. It's not like it is on TV. So, I gave it 6 months, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go back freelance." So, I like my alone time. That's what it really comes down to. So, I'm actually working freelance again, and Taste of Reality has always been a passion project and something I do on the side. So, I continue to write. But I'm excited because now I can invest even more of my time back in the site. So that's why we're able to do a lot more with it now in terms of opening up the store and doing things like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's great. And we're also hosting events now. I don't know if you heard recently, we were at the Quiet Woman.
Yes.
We brought a bunch of fans to the OC Ropes course. Yeah, so we're doing
Tell me
cool
about
stuff.
this. This is the next thing I wanted to ask you about, because
gosh.
This is something I know, and this is detailed in episode 19 of your podcast, mentioned again in episode 20. So, Taste of Reality podcast, if you want. I'm not going to have you go through the whole thing, because we want people to listen to your podcast too. But, we can touch upon it. But I want to know about how this, because it's such a great idea. I don't know if I could bring it. I don't know if anyone would come if I had an OC ropes course. It would be like me and a friend.
Let's think about it, and we'll co-host an event somewhere in LA.
I would love to do that.
Or somewhere, maybe in San Francisco, or, we'll get a group together. We should co-host.
I had a lot of people that wanted to come to Grant's Rants live show, but it was in the middle of the summer and people were away. And I'm still getting asked, are you going to do anything else? Let me know. So I'm selling myself short. I could probably get a few people to come, but I would love to do that because I feel like our listeners are one and the same.
Yeah. Well, and Taste of Reality is all about giving fans that that reality TV experience, bringing that moment to real life. So that's why we decided to start hosting events, and
it's a great idea. Who came up with that idea? I think it's fabulous.
I don't want to take credit for everything, but we're constantly, me and my business partner are constantly throwing amazing ideas at one another. So I'm sure one of the two of us did.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful, and it brings people in. I know you had people there from different parts of the country.
Yeah, we had people coming all the way from Philadelphia, Chicago, just to come and hang out. Danny Pellegrino co-hosted the event with me. So if you guys want to listen to his podcast, he also detailed a little bit about what happened that night. We were not expecting it. In a nutshell, you want to hear about it, right?
Yeah.
So just in a nutshell, I don't want to give it too much, fuel. I don't want to fuel the fire too much, but in a nutshell, we went to the ropes course, had a blast, maybe took a few fireball shots beforehand. We recorded our podcast while we were there, so you can actually go and listen to us.
So in the moment,
ropes course. And then we migrated to the Quiet Woman, where we may or may not have proceeded to drink a lot more. And then Emily Simpson and Gina Kirschenbacher were so gracious to come and surprise all of the fans at the Quiet Woman. And they spent at a minimum of 2 hours with all of us. And they were so nice, so down to earth. And then things took a turn.
A storm blew in.
Yeah, the manager runs over and he's like, "Oh, Troy, Shannon Beador called and she was looking for a table, but I told her we didn't have room." And I was like, "What's wrong with you? Go grab Shannon." At this point, all of us are on Team Shannon,
right.
OC had just started, so no one was really over Shannon at this point. We were all Team Shannon, rooting for her and her cheating thing with her husband and her weight loss journey.
Yep.
You get the idea. So I'm like, tell her we have room at our table. Well, she actually showed up. She storms in. Shannon storms in. She immediately sees Emily and Gina and has a fit, a full-on meltdown.
Did she come in alone?
No, she was with her homies. She was with a guy and two other ladies.
I just picture her with a high ponytail walking in by herself and just losing her mind.
No, she's in a fur and has the hair down. They had been out.
She's obviously in a fur in August or September?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So she comes in and she just has this salty look on her face. She storms over. She begrudgingly says hi to the ladies. I went up to her just because I was still at this point just excited that she was there like everyone else was. We were like, "Oh my God, it's Shannon Beador." And then all of a sudden I go up to her and she kind of snarls through her teeth, right? "I cannot deal with those women." And I'm like, "Whoa, sorry." Little did I know I had just produced an entire episode of Housewives in this moment, right?
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, well, sorry." I'm peeing in my pants a little bit, right? And I'm like, "Well, you can just go say hi to the fans. I'm sure that they would, they've come all the way across the country to follow in your footsteps." And she goes, "I don't think so." And she storms away and they went and sat in their booth and they were looked miserable the rest of the night. So, and here's where I take issue with the whole thing. It's okay, fine. I invited you. I didn't know you had beef with these women, but, how would I? The episodes haven't aired. We don't know what your history is with them.
Did you invite her to this? Did you invite all the OC Housewives?
I invited everyone very last minute, very casually. I just sent, messages through PR stuff and.
So she was it was equal opportunity. Yeah. Everyone could have came.
Yes.
Yeah. So weird.
So and she didn't RSVP. The other two ladies did, and I knew that they were going to be coming, and I didn't tell anyone and everything. But anyway, so this is where I take issue with the whole thing is that a fan went up to her and asked her, I think for a photo or something like that. And she was so nasty to the fan. And that's whenever I think everyone was kind of "Oh, she's just not a very nice person." So anyway, I'm going to get off my, my soapbox about it. It's kind of old news now.
Yeah.
But
I totally get not wanting to feed into that whole thing.
Well, they just filmed the reunion and apparently Emily came armed with file folders on each lady. She came armed with receipts.
She's a lawyer.
I know, that's what happened. So
I hope for your sake this does come up at the reunion, though. I think it'll be awesome for you to be in the crosshairs.
So A Taste of Reality really is, and I put out a not so nice article recently detailing the event, right?
I think you reported the facts of what happened.
Yeah, you're exactly right. She had the opportunity to just be nice, and I would have written something amazing about her. But we're equal opportunity. We're very inclusive, so I think we pride ourselves being more inclusive than exclusive, and I don't want to be on anybody's bad side, to be honest. So, but if it comes up, it comes up. We'll see what happens.
Exactly. Yeah. She had to know that this wasn't going to go away. Her behavior, she has to be accountable for that. I mean, you run a website and a podcast. What did she think was going to happen?
Yeah, I know. It's I don't know. So, well, I think that's her whole MO though, is she thinks that she's better than everyone else. That's the vibe that I got, was that we weren't worthy of being in her presence, And I just wasn't down with that. So I feel like I'm on the right side of history here.
Yeah.
And
I think it's all kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Any little Housewives run-in is fun.
Yeah. And it was cool for those fans to be a part of something that now is in the blogs and has gotten attention. Yeah. And they were, witnesses.
Really, like I've told you, like I've said just earlier on the podcast, Taste of Reality is all about giving fans that reality TV experience. And boy, we gave them some real, authentic, genuine drama that night. So
you're going to have a hard time topping that. Yes, you're going to have a hard time topping that one.
I know. Totally.
Well, we should talk about something that we can do here in LA. I mean, there's so many different things I can think of.
I feel not Housewives related. Like I said, I'm having a little bit of Housewives fatigue. So maybe we can do a Vanderpump Rules Tom Tom, Sir, Villa Blanca situation or something like that.
For the first time ever, I'm actually really excited about Vanderpump Rules coming back.
I know.
It was never my thing, and then it's really crept up on me, and I've gone back and I've watched everything. Just if I'm going to be a fan, I want to be all in. I don't want to have to think back to missed seasons and stuff. That being said, though, I hate to give Lisa Vanderpump my business.
I've heard you rant about it before.
It's hard. It's when people ask me why I dislike Barbara Walters. That's a whole. It's in me. You know what I mean? It's hard to describe. Did she do anything? Did she hit me? Did she sue me? Or no? She's overstaged. She holds the show hostage.
Yeah.
She doesn't play. She doesn't give her personal side to things like her life story or her family. Or we get little bits and pieces. And I don't care for how she fights either.
I can give credit where credit is due. Whenever. It's no secret that I am not a big fan of Shannon, but I recognize the fact that she is so candid and open on camera, and I think it makes great TV. So, seeing the drama and seeing her be a hot mess, I think I enjoy watching it, And I kind of agree with you about Vanderpump being so calculated that it just doesn't come off as authentic. Yeah. And that's one of my biggest gripes with any show, is having characters who are too calculated or are curating what everyone is seeing. And I do think there is a level of that with Lisa. I have a little bit of an interesting perspective on her because in the beginning, I don't know if you remember season 1 or 2, but there was a guy named Cedric who worked for her. I dated Cedric for a period of time. Nothing serious, but right around the time that he had been given the boot, and he was living on someone's couch, and I think it might have been Brandi's couch. And we met organically. I was actually walking my dog on the boardwalk in Venice, and he approached me and asked me for my number, and I was like, yeah, definitely. He was handsome. I was into it. Not at the end, but he was a little obsessive. But he told me some really unflattering things about her. He said, she's a fame whore. She would do anything, literally anything, throw her own husband under the bus if it meant being famous. So, take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, it's coming from
I think there's a degree of truth,
reliable source, But he had no reason to lie because I was a nobody at that point. Still am. Some might say.
So he wasn't going to you try to get something in the press or anything.
No, not at all.
This was just
he was just kind of venting. I mean, he would cry to me on the phone about how she had mistreated him. And it was while those episodes were airing, he would call me and be like, I'm devastated. She's blatantly lying about me on TV. And I wasn't watching at that time. So he really had no reason to try and convince me otherwise. As far as he knew, I didn't know who he was, So anyway, so I've kind of always had a skewed perception of her, and maybe seen behind that fourth wall a little bit. It's interesting. So.
It is interesting. Yeah. I feel like if someone wanted to do her dirty, they could resurrect him. They could find him in some corner of LA and drag him in.
Unless
and
he got like a check or something. Because he told me at the time he was writing a book and he was going to be releasing it and he was going to expose all of their lies. He said that there's a lot of stuff, laying in wait. Sort of. And I've been like waiting for it for years now. I don't think it's going to happen.
I paid him out.
Maybe.
Which is smart on her. I mean, I can't falter for that.
He could also be lying, That's the other thing. So who knows?
Who knows? Interesting. Oh, I learned something new. Thank you for doing the rants. And I hope that I can come and chat with you and then we can do more of this.
Make that happen.
And there's a lot to cover, and we really went through a bunch of stuff, and we had some nice bonus Housewives content, and you guys can find more bonus content over on Patreon, patreon.com/GrantsRants. There's 2 clips that you will not hear anywhere else that come out 2 times a month over on patreon.com. I love you for listening. Please support Troy over on his website, Taste of Reality, and the podcast as well. Thank you for coming on, and we'll be back with more rants.
Thanks for having me.
This has been Grant's Rants. Support the rants on Patreon at patreon.com/GrantsRants. Follow Grant on Twitter and Instagram at It's Grant's Rants. Cover art created by RHONY. Voiceover by Original theme music by Alexander Arntzen. The Grant Michael Collection.